Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. I'm doing a Recon the Role-Playing Game story. I'm doing a Recon the Role-Playing Game story, and I'm titling this one the Creighton Cleanup. I was playing in my friend Earl's game along with my friends Larry, Jerry, Kevin, Bobby, and John. Our characters had become mercenaries and had been on several missions, and we'd cultivated a reputation of problem solvers, so we started getting job offers for more business. We were contacted by a businessman from a little portside town in Louisiana called Creighton. It was right there on the ocean, had a good fishing village, that kind of thing. He was running, this guy, his name was Charlie Mays. He was running for mayor against the corrupt mayor that was running the town. This mayor had a bunch of henchmen working for him, including the local sheriff, who he had appointed. This businessman, Charlie Mays, wanted to hire our group as bodyguards and special agents to make sure that the election would be fair. He was also afraid that he would come up missing or drown in an unfortunate accident, because this sort of thing had happened in previous elections. So, yeah. The pay wasn't anything like what we were normally used to, but we took a vote and decided to help Mays anyway, because he seemed like a good guy, an upstanding guy. And one of our players, Bobby, he wasn't fond of Southern corruption. So, we talked about him in a different video. At any rate, we decided to take the job. John and Bobby drove down and began scouting out the enemy while the rest of us secured gear and logistics, and then we headed down. Mayor Higgins, this is what they found out. Mayor Higgins and his men pretty much owned the town. They used the city hall as a base. Higgins had the sheriff and 6 deputies, but also had 10 thugs on the payroll. Higgins' 2 main assistants, or underlings, were the sheriff, whose name was Reiser, and the lead thug who ran the criminals, essentially. His name was Grant. The mayor was into gun and drug smuggling, and he grew pot. He had a lot of pot farms in the area. Mays owned 4 local fishing boats, and his base was an office at the docks. This was 4 blocks from City Hall. It was a pretty small village, but there was a lot of traffic going through, and that's where this mayor made a lot of his money, his illicit funding. John and Bobby met us at Mays' office, and we talked it over. We decided that we had to protect Mays while collecting evidence on Higgins' crimes and his associates. I staked out City Hall. I had a good position in a wooded area. I tapped into their telephones. I had cameras. I had telescopes, things like that, so I could keep track of their comings and goings. And we all were connected with radios, so we could communicate easily. I could keep everybody appraised of what was going on. John and Bobby took photographic and recording equipment and began collecting evidence at all the different places, like the drug and gun smuggling, and then they headed out to the pot farms to record all that too. The rest began acting as bodyguards for May and his campaign staff. And May was running a pretty good campaign. He had good experience. He had friends in the community. He was an upstanding member of the community. He was a legitimate contender for mayor. This wasn't where we were going to install somebody. He had a legitimate chance to win in a free and fair election. So we got evidence on their smuggling and pot farms, and I figured out who was on Higgins' payroll, who on the town was helping him. After one of the pot farmers spotted John and followed him back to Mays, Grant and the other 9 thugs drove down to the docks to deal with us. Now, I was on the radio, and I saw what was going on. I warned Mays. Larry and Jerry didn't even wait for them to exit their cars. They used a .30 caliber machine gun and rocket launchers and blew them the fuck up. Yeah. It wasn't even, there wasn't a fight to it. It was like, boom, they were done. They showed up in one truck. Everybody piled into a 4-seat, it was a a king cab, and there was 5 in the cab and 5 in the back, and that was it. Once word got out, most of Higgins' people thought better of backing him, and he was left with only the sheriff and his deputies. On election day, the deputies were guarding the polls to prevent anyone from voting for Mays. Then the deputies all got shot, and we took over the polling place to ensure that everyone got a chance to vote for whoever they wanted to. And we made it clear, you vote for whoever you want to. We're not going to argue with that. We're standing outside. You vote for whoever you want. But we made sure that everybody who came up got a chance to vote. There was no interference. Mays won the election in a landslide, and he contacted the governor for state police to arrest Higgins and the sheriff. In return for all of our help, Mays not only paid us, but he gave us a boat to aid us in our travels, so we didn't have to book ocean travel. And we had a place we could go fishing if we wanted to. That was nice. Fishing off the Gulf Coast is nice. So yeah, it ended up pretty good, and we had a friend in a town that we could go to if we needed to. So it worked out good all the way around. It was an investment in the future. If you enjoy my content, it would really help me out if you could hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, share my content on all of your social media platforms, and post a comment or two. Remember, I welcome your comments, even if you disagree with me. And check me out over on Rumble for my political commentary and weekly current events. If you enjoy a good book, check out my author page on Amazon.com. My pen name is H.L. Anderson. You can find all of my books there, including the 2 shown here, Vanguard 1 and Task Force Terminus. They are the first 2 books in the Devo Poland Chronicles. The 3rd one is called Gulag of the Damned, and it's out there too. I just don't have a picture of it here. But yeah, if you enjoy a good solid book with proper ethics and just flat out weird, because that's me, check out my author page, H.L. Anderson. I'm sure you'll find something you like, and I hope you enjoy reading it. Hope this finds everybody well. You folks have a good one. God bless one and all.